What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for March 20th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a hump day edition of the podcast. As always, let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, is the Big Five dead, based on the fact that it's now the second year in a row that no Big Five teams on the men's side made it to the NCAA Tournament? And until last year, the last time that happened was 1977. So I think it's a fair question to ask. And 2/3 of you, 67%, agreed with me that the Big Five is dead. And truthfully, I think that is more a testament to the landscape of college sports, more so than the actual Big Five, because you're going to have the fans, you're going to have the rivalries to a certain extent. However, and this is speaking just what I know about Temple, being a Temple person, is there's no NIL money or very little NIL money. And until they can even up the playing field, the Big Five just is going to be dead. And if things go the way I am sensing and been saying for a couple of years now, it's going to go, and the big time college sports are going to be more of a minor league for the NFL and the NBA. I think the way the Big Five is structured, I mean, Villanova is going to be, because of being in the Big East, they're going to be one of those minor league teams. And I think that leaves kind of like Temple probably as they want to be the big guy, but they're not going to be. And then you have LaSalle, St. Joe's, and Drexel who would fit into there perfectly. So I unless things change completely, which I don't see. I mean, it's whatever analogy you want to do. You can't put the genie back into the bottle, toothpaste back into the tube, whatever. I think we're well past that part of where things are now. And I mean, I think essentially what we know as the Big Five is dead, and no round robin or whatever tournament, Big Five Classic, whatever you want to call it, that's not going to bring it back. And until things are even, and teams like Temple, St. Joe's, and LaSalle, and I don't know what St. Joe's and LaSalle and Drexel's NIL situation is like, but I know at Temple, I mean, that's what's killing them right now. So I think it's dead. 2/3 of you agree. As always, thanks for participating in the question of the day. 267-495-8531 gets you into the voice and text line. And I'm going to have somewhat of a major announcement on that coming soon, so stay tuned for that. Before we get into the podcast, and I feel like a lot of this is me watching a ton of basketball, but I'm starting to notice it on like the news and things like that. But has anybody else been going around like nonstop for like the past week or two singing "What a Feeling," the Flashdance song? I mean, it's on. I've seen it on back-to-back commercials. The Nerds and the T-Mobile commercial, and I've seen those commercials go back to back. So like all I picture is the big nerd gummy laying back, getting the whatever Nerds poured on them, and then Jason Momoa doing the back. It's a mess. But if it's not in your head, it will be now, and you're welcome for that. What a feeling. Anyway, Flyers with a big win yesterday. 4-3 over Toronto. They were up 3-0. Toronto stormed back in the third, but the Flyers were able to put them away with a goal late. The big story out of that game was the fact that Sean Couturier, the captain, was a healthy scratch, and he is very frustrated with the way things are going. And I see both sides of this. And I know a lot of people are getting on Tortorella because Tortorella did not necessarily give much of a rationale or reasoning or any updates on that. And apparently he's not really communicating that with Couturier on what he could do to improve. However, I mean, Tortorella's got a job to do, and his job is to put the best Flyers team out there. So it's that fine line. What do teams owe us? What do they owe the media? I think, to me, the coach needs to put the best 5 guys on the ice at a time. And if Couturier is not one of them and he doesn't feel he's in the top 3 lines, I mean, that is what it is. I do think it's he probably should go to him. But I know a lot of places don't do that. I mean, you interview for a job, a lot of times they won't tell you why you didn't get the job. They're just like, oh, we decided to go a different direction. Personally, I think you should give him a reason what he can work on to do. But hey, they won, and I get that he's frustrated, but listen, he's got to do what's best for the Flyers, and as of right now, that has them hanging on to that third spot in the Metro Division, which is what we want. They got a day off. They're in Carolina tomorrow with a little bit of breathing room there in the standings as we inch very closer and closer to the playoffs, but 4-3 win, Flyers over the Maple Leafs. I guess you could say they extracted some level of revenge from last week, but we'll take it. Another tough game, though, on Thursday down in Carolina. Carolina, I think, is I like them a lot this year, just kind of following what I've been able to do. So good win for the Flyers, off today, in Carolina tomorrow. All right, Sixers are in action tonight in Phoenix, and this is such a, I mean, we talk so much a lot of times, like people in sports, and even I'm guilty of it on here in hyperbole, but I mean, this is really a crucial stretch of games. Like all four teams they're playing are playoff teams, top teams in the West. Well, the Lakers, who knows what's going on with them, but it's a tough stretch starting tonight in Phoenix, and I think this could go a long way. If they go 0-4, they're playing, and I think you maybe just forget about bringing Joe back. I know they have a timeline. It seems pretty firm that he'll be back first or second week of April. It might not matter, and that's why this is key. I think you need to go 2-2, but I mean, 0-4, I think you might be able to stick a fork in them if you can't already. So we'll have more on that. And I hate West Coast. I say it all the time, but obviously there's no chance I'll be watching any of this game unless I happen to wake up in the middle of the night and for some reason the TV gets turned on. But Sixers against Suns tonight in a crucial start to this 4-game road trip. And I think this game will go a long way in setting the tone for the other 3 games. All right, Phillies news. And before we get into the action yesterday, it was announced that Spencer Strider will be starting opening day for the Braves. So you got to love that, man. And this rivalry is going to be so much fun this year. I plan on getting into that when I talk on the Phillies preview later this week. Stay tuned for that. But, man, it's going to be fun. And what better guy to open the season in Philadelphia in front of the hostile crowd than the guy who says he'd rather fans not be in attendance. So I'm sure he's going to get a standing ovation when he takes the mound on, I think it's next Thursday they start. So looking forward to that. On the field yesterday, it was a 0-0 tie against the Tigers last night. But the key takeaway for me was Ranger went 5 innings, gave up 1 hit, 4 Ks, looked good. I really think just having him come in, he's healthy, and he knows he's the third starter, and just being able to focus, man. I'm looking for him to have a breakout year. I'll have some bold predictions when I do the Phillies preview, but one of them may or may not involve Ranger Suarez, so stay tuned for that. Johan Rojas went 0-4, and now it's starting to get a little dicey with the situation there. And that has been the talk a lot, is whether or not you send him down to AAA to start the season, put Pache out there, or do Merrifield in left, Marsh. There's just so many different options they have. And Dave Dombrowski was on the morning show on WIP the other day, and listening to some of that interview, it kind of makes me wonder. It sounded to me, I mean, and he said it both ways, but it sounded to me when he's talked about Johan specifically, it sounds like Dombrowski, they're going to have discussions, but it sounds like he's going to start with the team on opening day. He said there's such a gap between AAA and Major League that sometimes it's better to have these guys go in the majors. And I'm not real sure yet which side of this camp I'm on. I got some time. Like I said, I have not recorded the Phillies preview yet, but I mean, I can see both sides of the argument. The only issue I see, like, I'm fine letting him kind of battle through it, but you have high hopes, high expectations with everybody being healthy, and you don't necessarily want to get off to a slow start. So maybe having Pache start the season in center, the way he's been playing this spring, might be the way to go. I don't know. I keep going back and forth, and it's not the question of the day. That'll probably be something later. But if you have any thoughts on that, go through on the voice and text line 267-495-8531 and let me know. But the key takeaway is Ranger looks good, and we are almost a week away from opening day. In fact, I believe the Giants and Padres are playing, or Dodgers and Padres are playing right now over in Asia in one of the opening day games. I think it was Asia. So baseball season is underway, which is weird how they do that. They go over, play a couple regular season games, and then they come back for spring training. But hey, whatever works. All right, March Madness update and 2 NIT games. We talked about the Big Five yesterday and no teams being in, but Nova is taking on VCU. They are the number 1 seed in the NIT. And ultimately, as with most teams in the NIT, it comes down to motivation. Will Nova even try? They're playing in Villanova. They are offering $2 beers to try to get people into the stands, and I actually like this. I mean, I think you ought to do more. I think UConn did something like that earlier in the year, and the crowd was just outstanding. So I'm a fan of the $2 beer promotion. But like I said, it comes down to whether or not Nova is going to really play and try. I know there are a lot of teams that opted out of playing in the NIT, and what that does is gives them a head start on recruiting. So it's interesting that a team like Nova, maybe because they were offered the number 1 seed, I don't know. But we'll see how it goes. But if you're not doing anything tonight, go down to the main line, $2 beers to get in. Watch VCU and Villanova play. St. Joe's is in action at 7 against Seton Hall up in Jersey. Again, I think St. Joe's is a team that probably will play well, or play hard, I should say, and will Seton Hall, because I think Seton Hall also is one of those teams that felt that they were deserving. And we saw a couple of games yesterday where the top teams or teams from the bigger conferences did not fare as well as they had hoped. And I only know that because I took a beating on some of them with bets. I'm looking at you, Providence, Ohio State, to name a couple. All right, Eagles news. And I think the big thing yesterday was the story came out about Jalen Hurts paying for the funeral of the player who was shot from his high school's biggest rival. And the story was just sad, but it was just shows, I mean, say what you want about his play on the field and all of that, but it does go to show you just what kind of guy he is. So kudos to Jalen for stepping up and doing that. Hassan Reddick, I missed this the other day. They moved his roster bonus. I don't know how they were able to do that. They just moved the date that they were going to give it to him. And I think what this does now is you can kind of see the writing on the wall. It gives them some time now to find a trade partner for him. And I mean, the thing is, I mean, they still have him under contract for a year. So I think gives Howie needs to wait and wait for the right price. And I think he's well aware and smart enough to do that. I mean, who knows? They could still extend him. And speaking of extending, Jerry Jeudy got an extension yesterday for almost $20 million, which essentially means that Devontae Smith is going to be probably close to the $25 million range, up there close to what A.J. Brown is. I mean, obviously, maybe it's me drinking green Kool-Aid, but Devontae Smith is a much better receiver than Jerry Jeudy. Yes, Jeudy has a lot of potential, and shout out to my boy Chris Cabot, high school friend of mine who is Jerry Jeudy's agent, who got him the almost $20 million and now has cost the Eagles probably a few more million on the back end. But I'm just waiting. Howie, what are you doing? Like, just make the announcement. Like, I know you have a number. He knows, like, just do it. Do the deal. Sign Smitty. So hopefully we are getting that notification on our phones at some point today that the Eagles extend Devontae Smith for 3 years and whatever, $60 or $70 million, $75 million. Just get it done. But one person you don't need to worry about getting the deal done with, and that's Philly Goat. Go check them out. They have you covered for all your Philly sports-based apparel. Check out the new Saquon shirts. I mean, that did not take long at all. Honestly, like, phenomenal. They have the Saquon squats and the Saquon fly shirt. It's get geared up for Philly season. I mean, why not get it? I mean, it's still only March, but the season starts next week. Get your gear. Those shoes, I got my order. I just got the email this morning. My shoes should be in next week. Cannot wait to rock the fans. What are you waiting for? Just go check them out. PhillyGoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. So many of you out there have supported them. Thank you. If you haven't, again, what are you waiting for? Use the promo code Jim Montgomery at checkout. Take 10% off. You're good to go. That's PhillyGoat.com. You won't be disappointed. And again, if you haven't checked it out, I don't know why. Go check out Philly Goat. They have something for everybody. Promo code Jim Montgomery at checkout for 10% off. All right, we're going to stick with a March Madness theme today. And on this day, back in 1993, the Temple Owls beat Santa Clara 68-57 in the second round of the West Regional in Utah. Aaron McKee had 25 for the Owls. Rick Brunson, Jalen's dad, had 20. I still can't believe we didn't. That I think, side note, I think that is ultimately what helped lead to the downfall of Temple and really what made things kind of go south for Aaron McKee, because Rick Brunson was his teammate. Why? Jalen Brunson should have gone to Temple. Just like Lynn Greer III is playing for St. Joe's, he should be at Temple. It just blows my mind, and I don't want to rant because I'm trying to pump up and be positive about Temple today. But Rick Brunson had 20. Eddie Jones had 17. Santa Clara was the 15th seed, and they had knocked off Arizona in the first round that year. I remember, I believe it was only like the second time a 15th seed had ever won. But the matchup zone was just too much for Santa Clara down the stretch. Temple kind of pulled away. It was a typical Temple John Chaney tournament. There was a freshman guard for Santa Clara who played 25 minutes off the bench and just was stifled by the defense. He went 1 for 9 shooting and 1 for 7 for 3-point range for only 3 points. You may have heard of this kid who was on the bench for Santa Clara. He went by the name of Steve Nash. Interesting little factoid there. I like looking at the box scores and seeing who was on this team. But Steve Nash, that Steve Nash from the NBA fame, went 1 for 9 in 25 minutes off the bench. Just could not solve the matchup zone. Went on to have a pretty successful career, though, I think. Meanwhile, Temple was the 7th seed. They beat Missouri in the first round. They would go on to beat number 3 Vanderbilt in the next round before falling to the Fab Five for the second straight year in the Elite Eight. And this is the moment that things really were solidified for me. I had always liked Michigan, and I kind of rooted for the Big Five, always liked Temple. I made it perfectly clear one of the reasons I went to Temple was because of the basketball team. But this has really solidified it, where I was Temple basketball first and foremost, and then anybody else that, whether it's the Fab Five. For football, I still am Temple first, but Temple was so bad during those times. That's where the Michigan came in. But this solidified it for me. I was a Temple Owl through and through because I remember being so pissed off that they lost this game. I remember my mom let me not eat dinner with the family to watch it because the game was right on at dinner time. And they lost by 5 points to the Fab Five. And so much so that I actually debated it. I did not, because I could never bring myself to do that. But I almost was rooting against them, with North Carolina. I believe that was the Eric Montrose team. But Temple went down to the Fab Five in the Elite Eight. They ended up finishing number 13 in the coaches poll that year. They went 20-13. They lost the A10 championship game to UMass, and this was Cherney's. Chaney's third Elite Eight team of the 5 that he had as coach, which leads us to today's question of the day. I think there was 5 Elite Eight teams, and I think obviously the 88 Elite Eight team that was ranked number 1 in the country, that was sort of an expected run. They were expected to be good. They should have been there. The other 4, they were not. So my question is, of the other 4 non-1988 Elite Eights, I guess you could call them the unexpected Elite Eights, which one was your favorite or which one was the best? I know there's 2 separate questions, but because I have a favorite and I think maybe not the best. So we'll go with the best. What is the best of John Chaney's unexpected Elite Eights? Was it the 91 team that was the 10 seed that lost to UNC? Was it the 93 team which was the 7 seed, lost to Michigan, the one we just talked about? Was it the 99 team, which was the 6 seed that lost to Duke? Or was it the 11 seed who in 01, or the 01 team who was the 11 seed that lost to Michigan State my senior year? Let me know what you think. 267-495-8531. Get you in. Which one of Chaney's unexpected Elite Eight runs was the best? Was it 91, 93, 99, or 01? For me, it was that 99 team. And, man, they went into they were my favorite probably, as well as the best, I think. And that's saying something considering Aaron McKee, Rick Brunson, and Eddie Jones were on one. But that team with Pepe Sanchez, Lamont Barnes, Karcher, Quincy Wadley, Lynn Greer, they were good. They rolled through that tournament. They at one point were a top 10 team. And then that Duke team they lost to was just, man, it was like Trajan Langdon, Carlos Boozer, Elton Brand. Like they were, I think Reddick was on that team. Like that was just a stacked Duke team. So I no harm in losing that. But man. But let me know what you think. Get through on the voice and text line, 267-495-8531. Get you in. Which one of Chaney's unexpected Elite Eight, so you're taking the 88 team out of it, was the best? 91, 93, 99, or 01? And if you have one that you think was the best and a different one that's your favorite, let me know that too. And then finally today, our Philly Sports Women's History Month Spotlight. We're taking a look at Helen Sigel Wilson, who is a Philadelphia amateur golf legend. She's a Gladwin native and a member of the Philadelphia Country Club. She has over 350 victories in a 45-year amateur career. Let that sink in. She golfed amateurly and won 350 amateurly. Is that even a word? Either way, over 350 victories. She's a 12-time Philly amateur champion, 5-time Pennsylvania amateur champ, 2-time Women's Eastern amateur champ, the 1949 Western amateur champ. She was a 2-time runner-up at the U.S. Amateur Championship. She's a member of 2 Curtis Cup winning teams as a player. She was a non-playing captain on another Curtis Cup winning team. And this is where it gets really good. She set the amateur low score of 296 and placed 5th at the U.S. Open in 1965. She was a U.S. Women's Senior Champion for ages 65 and over in 1967. And just, I mean, amazing. And then she ran a restaurant on the side. Like, she was just one of the best. She's a Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Famer, a Philadelphia Sports Hall of Famer, Golf Association of Philadelphia Hall of Famer. One of the best to ever do it. Helen Sigel Wilson, golf legend from Gladwin, member of the Philly Country Club. I mean, over 350 wins. Like, that's just insane. Tiger Woods, I believe, has 81. So just goes to show. And obviously, she played for 45 years. Obviously, it was a lot of amateur tournaments. But, I mean, just to put it in comparison, that's pretty impressive. And she did it with the competed with the best professionals in the U.S. Open. I mean, she took 5th. So, I mean, that's not too shabby. So, Helen Sigel Wilson, today's Phillies Sports Women's History Month Spotlight of the Day. Just an absolute legend. On this day in 1993, Temple beat Santa Clara in the second round of the NCAA Tournament in the West Regional to move to the Sweet 16. They would win one more game before falling to the Fab Five, breaking teenage Jim Montgomery's heart in the process. I really thought that was the year. The question of the day, be sure to get through on the voice and text line 267-495-8531. Which of John Chaney's unexpected Elite Eight runs was the best? 91, 93, 99, or 01. You can look up and see which one is your favorite if you don't remember one. Howie, do the deal. Sign Smitty. Let's do it. Come on, man. What are you waiting for? Sign Smitty. Stay tuned, like I said, for the Phillies preview. And I'll have some housekeeping announcements on the future of the podcast coming up on that. I'm hoping to get that out at some point by the end of this week. If not, it will be over the weekend. So I'll keep you posted on that. But stay tuned. The best way to get in touch or stay informed is like and subscribe the podcast and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont, or hit me up on social media, Twitter and TikTok until they ban it, Jimbo_Mont. Instagram at Philly Jimbo. And I've been having some issues with posting questions of the day on Facebook. So if you follow me on Facebook and you haven't been seeing it, DM me and let me know. It's showing up as just like a blank post. So let me know. Have fun with Flashdance in your head. What, did you think I forgot? What a feeling. But I'm telling you, you're going to see that commercial probably 12 times today, minimum. And then just wait. The tournament officially kicks off tomorrow, and I guarantee you're going to see it 50 times. So get used to it, like it, learn about it, have fun with that. But go have yourself some Wednesday. It's supposed to be the nicest day of the week, it seems like. It's supposed to get colder and rainy as the week goes on. So go out and enjoy it. Happy spring. I think today's the first day of spring. Starts at 11 tonight, I believe. I don't know. I used to be able to know that. But if it is, happy spring. If not, I wish you a happy spring tomorrow. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Until next time, I'll see you when I see you.